Hello, BookTube. It was a beautiful, beautiful day here in Boston. It started off horrible. Started off with those black-bottom, business-like clouds, and it did rain. It was a miserable. It was a day without a sunrise, just a miserable, dark morning. But forecasters predicted that all of that weather would blow away, and it did. So the afternoon was gorgeous, and I went out and about, and then I came back, and I went out and about again, only this time with Frida, who was her usual ball of energy self, yelling at people to stop and pat her. It was a lot of fun. Everybody loves her. And I came back to some mail. I thought we'd go over the mail. It's not much. There's not much. But let's see what we have to get us through, because you don't want to go a day without mail, right? So what is this first one here? It's like a paperback. Oh, wait a minute. I know what this is. Oh, yes, okay. All right, this is Secrets from the Deep. This is the Devlin Quick Mysteries by Linda Fernstein, who she does these young adult novels. These probably middle grade, right? These are probably middle grade. Well, anyway, she does her own novels, but she also does these young adult novels, and this is sent to me by my editor at the Vineyard Gazette, because this is set on Martha's Vineyard. So I will be reviewing this. I'm happy to do it. I absolutely love writing for the Vineyard Gazette. You should all subscribe, even if you've never been to the Vineyard. It is a quintessential small town newspaper. It just happens to be read by. In the season, it happens to be read by hundreds of thousands of people, which most small town newspapers don't get. But it's wonderful. It's full of local stories. They're all written with a great deal of verve, and of course, there's the legendary the very back page of the Vineyard Gazette is a regular column on wildlife spottings, a regular column on gardening, regular column. That back page is a wonderful breath of vineyard air. It's just delightful. And, of course, in between the local news stories and the copious and highly detailed obituaries and the final page, in between, you will often find yours truly reviewing books. So I will be... This is a Vineyard book, so I will be reviewing it. I haven't reviewed a YA book this year, I don't think. I'm trying to remember if I've reviewed one for Open Letters. Certainly no one has paid me to review a YA book this year. This may be the very first one. But I'll do it right away. So that's a lot of fun. All right, that's fun. Good. So that goes on the review pile. I have the bookshelf out in the other room that is all the new forthcoming books separated by month, and then the present month, October, is separated by week. But I also have another shelf. I have a shelf here in this room that is work. Because I don't want to lose the books that are work. I have a separate shelf that is just stuff that has reviews pending. I can just look at that. It's always in my mind that way, instead of being in another room. You want this? Yes? Alright, so what have we got here? This is from 7th Street Books. We've seen them many times. They're a murder mystery publisher. They're a wonderful murder mystery publisher. This comes out in January, and it's by Terry Shames, and it's called A Risky Undertaking for Loretta Singletary. Look at that. It's kind of a neat cover design. This is a Samuel Craddock mystery, and this author won a McCavity Award for A Killing at Cotton Hill. A Risky Undertaking for Loretta Singletary. What have we got here? Chief Samuel Craddock's old friend Loretta Singletary, a mainstay of the Jarrett Creek community, has undergone a transformation, with a new hairstyle and modern clothes. He thinks nothing of it until she disappears. Only then does he find out she's been meeting men through an online dating site for small-town participants. When a woman in the neighboring town of Bobtail turns up dead after meeting someone through the same dating site, Craddock becomes alarmed. Will Craddock be able to find Loretta before she suffers the same fate? Finding out what happened to Loretta forces him to investigate an online world he's unfamiliar with, and one which brings more than a few surprises. Okay, that sounds fantastic. With only one problem. There's only one problem with that plot description. And any of you who've ever lived or who live now in a small town will know right away what it is. You'll have spotted it as soon as I was reading. There is an impossibility in this plot description. Let me go over it again for you. Loretta Singletary disappears. She undergoes a transformation. She starts dressing in modern clothes with a new hairstyle. And then she disappears. And only after she disappears does the sheriff, the police chief of Jarrett Creek, only then does he find out she has been meeting men through an online dating site for small-town participants. And of course, that would never happen. He would have known long before she disappeared, because everyone would be talking about it. It would get out, and he would know about it long since. So maybe the pub sheet is exaggerating for dramatic effect. Maybe that will turn out to be the case. But I guarantee you, I know Jarrett Creek is fictional. But I have lived in many Jarrett Creeks in my time, and Loretta Singletary would only have had to press one button on one of those sites for everybody in a 30-mile radius to know. So there would be no mystery at all about the fact that she was doing that. That won't affect the mystery of what happens to her. Though that sounds like a lot of fun. Good God. All right. Okay. So that's actually 2 small-town murder mysteries in a row. What are the odds of that? So let's just move on here. We have a few more packages to do here. Let's see. Let's see. What's that be? Huh? Oh. Okay. Okay. I don't think... I can't remember if we ever saw the advance copy of this. This is, I think, an October book. Yes, it is. This is by Joshua Hunt, and it is The University of Nike, How Corporate Cash Bought American Higher Education. Did we see this already? I can't remember if we did or not. This is from Melville House. They're a great publisher. In the spring of 2014, investigative reporter Joshua Hunt was sent on assignment by the New York Times to Eugene, Oregon, to cover a developing sexual assault case on the University of Oregon's campus. The more Hunt uncovered, the more questions filled his notebook. It would take 5 years of first-hand interviews and archival research dating back to the 1990s to close in on the looming questions regarding consent, justice, and financial ties clouding the case. This book uncovers what happens when major companies take control of colleges under the guise of sponsorship, and forecast these emerging relationships between state universities and powerful corporations. It's a dramatic expose that reveals the educational sacrifices the University of Oregon made to maintain Nike's corporate sponsorship. Wow, okay, so he did a bunch of investigative reporting on the scene, and this is the inevitable book. Is this his first book? Who is Joshua Hunt when he's at home? He's a former foreign correspondent for Reuters in Tokyo. His work has appeared in The New Yorker, The New York Times, Bloomberg Businessweek, the California Sunday Magazine. He was a fellow at the Tony Stabile Center for Investigative Journalism at the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, and a recipient of the Linton Fellowship in Book Writing. The Linton Fellowship in Book Writing, did that give us this book? Doesn't look like he's written anything else. So he got a fellowship to write this book, maybe. Okay, well, this comes out in late October, so I should get right on it. That's fine by me. The University of Nike. Set in Eugene, Oregon. So technically we are still 3 small towns for 3 small towns. So let's. There's no chance that will continue, but let's see. Let's see what this next one is. What does that be? Huh? What is this next one? It's a finished copy of something. Oh, okay. All right, great. We saw the advanced copy of this. I'm sure we did. Is this an October book? No, this is November. Okay. This is Robert Lyman. This is Under a Darkening Sky, The American Experience in Nazi Germany, 1939 to 1941. Wonderful. Okay. A poignant and powerful portrait of Europe in the years between 1939 and 1941 as the Nazi menace marches towards the greatest man-made catastrophe the world has ever experienced. Robert Lyman's Under a Darkening Sky focuses on a diverse group of expatriate Americans. Told through the eyes and observations of these characters caught in the seismic events, the story unfolds alongside a war that slowly drags the reluctant United States into its violent embrace. This vibrant narrative takes these dramatic personalities and evokes the engagement between Europe and a reluctant America from September 3rd, 1939, when Britain declares war, through the tragedy of Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. It is a distinctly energetic storyline. Huh. Okay. So, young Americans like aces Jim Goodison, Art Donahue, and the wealthy playboy Billy Fisk, who was the first American to volunteer for the RAF to die in action during the Battle of Britain. Okay, I remember the advanced copy of this. So I guess my original question when I first read about this was, will all of the expatriate Americans be people joining the war? Or will this book also have... There were plenty of stories of Americans who were in Europe and thought, even though these countries are declaring war on each other, it still has nothing to do with me. I wonder if there'll be civilian stories in here. But I have not touched the advanced copy. That's terrible. So I will get to this probably not in October. October is still really busy. Maybe so, though. You never know. All right. So, and then that leaves us with one more. One of these vacuum pack things. We'll do this, and then we'll be done for the mail for today. What is this? Whoa. Oh. Okay. I think we saw this. This is also an October book. My October shelf. I don't even want to think about it. My October shelf is... It's just a bloody disaster. It's just a bloody disaster. It's more books than I could possibly review. It's almost more books than I can read in the month. It's just... October was just outrageous. This is by David Heidler and Gene Heidler. And I think we saw it on this channel before. It comes out in late October, and it is The Rise of Andrew Jackson. Myth, Manipulation, and the Making of Modern Politics. In the early decades of the 19th century, most Americans no longer lived on the frontier. And according to some, they were getting soft and losing the pluck that had made them hardy colonizers and happy warriors. A fear arose that the great accomplishments of the American Revolution were fading away because a delicate people, corrupted by comfort and cynical about government, couldn't remember the cost of liberty. Andrew Jackson's image as a man who could reverse this disturbing drift began with his stunning victory over the British at New Orleans in January 1815. It wasn't stunning. That's okay, though. 9 years later, his first attempt to win the presidency saw his supporters insisting that he could renew the nation. And by 1828, most voters agreed that Jackson was crucial to securing America's future, in that he would draw on the best of its humble but energetic past. And this is the story of that. This is the story of these two historians argue that Jackson's election was actually the work of operatives, handlers, editors, politicians, and at least one political genius over the course of 15 years, rather than Old Hickory's roughshod, aw shucks, rise to power on his own. That's great. Jackson was, of course, a mountebank. He was a carpetbagger. His career was entirely built on lies and manipulation. And his portrait currently hangs in the Oval Office. But he was seen through. Plenty of his own contemporaries saw through him. It wasn't like he was he is currently viewed as the populist on the American the political landscape, but plenty of his contemporaries saw exactly what he was. Knew it from the very beginning. One of those contemporaries who saw him clearer than anybody was John Quincy Adams. But anyway, this sounds fantastic. So that comes out in late October. These are October books. They're just killing me. I love it, but they're killing me. So we have The Rise of Andrew Jackson. Maybe a dash of cold water on the mytho-history that has surrounded that subject. That would be great. Then Under a Darkening Sky, Americans in Europe after the declaration of war between Britain and Germany, but before Pearl Harbor. Can't imagine anyone having a happy vacation. The tension must have been thick enough to cut with a knife. Then the University of Nike, a bit of contemporary reporting on the devil's bargain, if you're a university, the devil's bargain that you strike to get into bed with something like Nike. Then a risky undertaking for Loretta Singletary, a small-town mystery that has a murder. We'll have to hope that Loretta Singletary survives. She goes missing, but we'll have to hope she survives. We'll see. And The Secrets from the Deep, the Devlin Quick mysteries. It's the end of summer, and Devlin Quick is invited to join her best friend Booker's family vacation on their summer home at Martha's Vineyard. Dev has a science project for school, take a daily bucket of water from Vineyard Sound and submit a sample to the Oceanographic DNA lab. From that, they can actually tell you what species of fish have been in those waters. Striped bass, blues, and sharks. But Devlin discovers something else in the water from the days when pirates hid treasures along the New England coastline. With access to the DNA crime lab back in New York City, courtesy of her mother, Dev is going to solve the mystery of this treasure and figure out all the secrets Martha's Vineyard is hiding. I love it. All right, so not bad. Not a bad haul. Nice and full of variety. To add to my Friday reads. A lot of these things I will just add to the pile and get to them as soon as possible. I'll do them this weekend. Great. So there you have it. That is a Friday mail haul. So I will wrap this up for now, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.